We've never had a chance to sit down and talk about where this all started. Basketball.
Yeah.
At what point, what age were you when that was your game?
You know, I wasn't any good. I grew from 5'10" to 6'5" in 1 year. So really nothing was my game. I made the mistake of trying to play football one day. And I remember the last thing the coach said to me, he said, "I'll see you tomorrow." I'm like, wait, I'm not doing this tomorrow. Like, you know, he put me on the defensive line. So football and boxing are my two favorite sports. But man, if you're on the offensive defensive line, you're hitting every single play.
You don't touch the ball.
You never touch the ball. You just run into a dude.
Yes.
I did that for 3 hours one day, and he said, "Hey, see y'all tomorrow." I'm like, yeah. I'm not doing this again tomorrow. So I was a 5'10" backup point guard, but I wasn't any good. I started playing basketball because I had started doing start stealing. And I was like, yeah, that ain't what I really want to do. Because I'm from a small town, there's not a lot to do. So we go to like little I think at the time it was called TG&Y. And it's like a little, not a convenience store, but like just a local store. A little local store. And one day I think I stole like 50 pens. And my friend like, man, we stole 50 pens and we ain't even good at school. And then we started stealing cakes. And so we figured out every Sunday night, the supermarket in town got all their delivery of cakes for the week.
You guys was thugs.
We were thugs. That's exactly right. So, and I had enough cakes to serve a city. We were just stealing donuts and cakes. And then one night, the cops caught us and chased us. And we were running through the woods. And we could hear the cops saying, "Freeze, freeze." And I was crawling on the ground. And that night I said, yeah, life of crime is not for me. And then I said, I'm gonna play basketball, but I wasn't any good at it. And it's the weirdest thing, because people said that your bones hurt, anything hurt. I said, no, it didn't at that time. And when I showed up at school, I was 6'5".
In one summer?
In one summer. People always, when they go back and look at my history, I never got a letter to go to college until I was a senior. Never got a letter.
When I think of you and the way you played and everything, there's nobody played like you. No one. You say, hey, that reminds me of Charles Barkley. Hey, nobody reminds me of Charles Barkley.
Hey, well, listen, nobody reminds you of a 5'10" chubby point guard either.
No.
So when I started playing, there was nobody who played like me. And then when I grew to 6'5" and a half, 6'6", I always lied about 6'6". Like, I had to just play. So my thing was, I just got to be physical. Because one thing about big guys, they're only big if you give them room to jump. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm hitting everything. Like, if I'm playing against a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", he gonna block my shot every time unless I hit him first. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing you notice about great players, because while we whine and complain all the time, every great player I've ever seen make contact with the defense first.
But you used to get up underneath them, and it only took a nudge, and they were done. Just a nudge.
So Ahmad, that was the key to my success.
Yeah.
See, I always tell people this is, you want to play against a tall guy? I said, every single time. I hated little skinny guys or guys who were shorter, because now I don't have my advantage. And the simplified is, I got a big ass against a guy who's 7 feet tall's legs. The big ass is gonna win every time.
At what point did you think you had a chance to make it to the NBA?
I knew after my freshman year in college.
But you were surprised that you went to college, right? So all this stuff happened quick.
It happened real quick.
So you start playing, you weren't any good. Fast forward 3 years from then, you were one of the best players in the country?
Yes, but see, my specialty was rebounding.
Yes.
So when I averaged 20 points, 20 rebounds a game in high school. Mm-hmm. My thing, like, I played with a really bunch of...
you averaged that from going from the bench to playing?
With the inches on me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I never got the ball, so I had to get all my points and stuff on rebounds. Mm-hmm. So when I go to college, because you go back and look at my college career, the most points I averaged is like 13.
But you were playing center.
I know, but which is the best thing ever happened to me. Because when I got to the NBA, I was used to playing against big guys.
Yeah.
It's so funny you said that because people say, well, what was the turning point for you? I says, well, my coach made me play center because I played against somebody big every night. So when I got to the NBA, it was easy for me to play up against big guys. If he had to put me at the forward position, it probably would have been a shock to me when I got to the NBA that I'm playing against guys 6'10", 6'11". So I was used to that in college. But I knew at the end of my freshman year, my coach said to me, if you get 10 rebounds a night, you're going to be a millionaire one day.
In 1984, you tried out for the Olympic team.
Yes.
Made a huge impression.
Yes.
But you didn't make the team.
Because Bobby Knight was just not a good dude. You know, Ahmad, first of all, I should have made the team easily. I was the second best player there. John Thompson, one of my heroes, called one day, and he talked to my coach. He says, I just want you to know, Bobby didn't like Charles. And not because I made it from 120 down to the final 20 before I got cut, because I played great that time.
Right.
So I remember my coach calling me in. He says, yeah, John Thompson called me and told me that you should have made the team. Bobby just didn't like you for some reason. He says, he said you were the second best player there. I said, Coach, I was the second best player there. I said, I met this black dude from North Carolina. I said, Coach, I ain't never seen nothing like it. I said, he's a little taller than me. I said, he's really black. I said, he can outrun everybody. He can outjump everybody. I said, it was the most amazing thing. And I'm sitting there like, that guy is great. He's better than us. But there's no doubt in my mind I was the second best player there.
At any point during that time, did you ever think that you would end up being one of the greatest players to ever play basketball?
Never, not even close. Because, you know, I was only averaging, I think the most points I averaged in college was like 13, 14 in 3 years. But I was getting over 10 rebounds a night, leading the league in rebounding. So my initial thing was be like, I was going to be a guy who's going to go out there, get you double digits rebounds a night, going to get you 10, 15 points. That was it. The best thing ever happened to me was Moses Malone. He's the best thing ever happened to me in my life, basketball-wise. You know, I wasn't getting to play a lot my early rookie year. And I asked Moses, he lived in the same building as me. I said, Big Mo, can I come talk to you tonight? He said, sure, young guy, come on up. And I go up, and he says, I said, Moses, why am I not getting to play? Well, you young fella, you're fat and you're lazy. Even in college, man, I'm playing like 300 pounds. So, but I'm having success, so I don't know. And like I say, every level you go to, high school shape ain't college shape.
Yeah.
College shape ain't pro shape. So when I'm still getting my double digit leading the league in rebounds, so I'm thinking like I'm doing good. So, but then you go where the real men are in the NBA, and Moses said, you're just fat and lazy. And then Moses did the greatest thing ever. He said, I'll help you lose weight. He met me before practice. He met me after practice. He said, let's lose 10 pounds. Then I get to 290, and I feel myself, okay, it's a little different. He says, let's lose 10 more. I get to 280. And then I'm like, now I'm starting to play. He get to me to 270, 260, 250. And I actually got to 240 one time, but I just didn't have any strength or energy. He says, 250 is your playing weight. First of all, I didn't think I could lose 50 pounds. I mean, a fat person don't think they can lose 50 pounds until they start losing it.
That doesn't happen in professional sports.
Oh.
You're tired, you shouldn't be there.
Yeah. And the thing that's scary about that, Ahmad, when you're a star, and by my third year in the NBA, I was a full-blown all-star, just an all-star, not a star yet. Not a superstar, but a star. Like, you have to play great every night. Every night. Every night.
Yes.
And mentally, it takes a lot. Physically, it takes a lot. But it's a really cool thing when, you know, like people come to see you play, you get the loudest ovations at home. People are cursing your ass out on the road with, and like you're like, oh yeah, they know I'm good. That's why they cursing me out. They don't curse at these other bums. They only cursing at me. So, but the mental and physical toll that takes on you, you have to be ready. You cannot be a great player if you don't have an ego. You got to think, I said, hey, you got like, and I got to say this, and I'm being honest, like, I can count the times on my hand that I walked to the gym, I says, there's only one guy in this building on my level. Like, unless I'm playing against Magic, Larry, Michael, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Akeem Olajuwon, guys like that, like, I'm the best player in this building tonight, and I'm going to show y'all.
You can't be a great player without thinking the way that you think now.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
You're just as good as that other person.
Yeah.
And you put more pressure on yourself than anybody else could put on you.
No question.
No one can put more pressure on you.
It's like, I don't even know why that would even be a conversation. Like, if you go into a game and you think there's somebody better than you on the other team, you shouldn't even be playing.
Yeah, why play?
When I got traded to the Suns, I told the Suns, I said, we're going to play the Bulls for the championship. My first day there, I'm having a conversation with Jerry Colangelo and Cotton Fitzsimmons. I says, we're going to play the Bulls for the championship. And I said, I got Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley and those guys. I like my chances. I said, Michael, he got Scotty and Horace. But I says, I've been waiting 9 years to play against the best when I got enough firepower with me. So when we played the Bulls, there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to win that series. I remember blowing a gasket it was early December. Michael knew we were good. And I've known him a long time. So we played them and they kicked the hell out of us. And because I know what he was thinking, like, I want to send these guys a message.
Yes, you know that.
Yes.
That's exactly what he was doing.
And I was like, and we got up to, like, I said, yo, man, team meeting. Just because people telling us we're going to win the West, we got to actually go out and play. I said, that's the team we're going to play in the final. They just came to our house and smacked us around. I said, guys, we can't just say we go into the final. We got to prove it. We got to go out and play.
So the interesting thing about this is coming right off the Dream Team.
Your Dream Team was an interesting thing because it was the greatest time of my life basketball-wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had me and Karl Malone, who were like, I'm the best power forward in the world, and you think you are. So we tried to kill each other every day. You got David Roberts and Patrick Ewing. They're trying to prove who's the best center. They're trying to kill each other. You got Clyde and Michael who hate each other because Clyde thought he was good as Michael. You got Magic who was mad because Scotty had just locked him down in the finals and they were going at it. It's the most intense basketball I've ever been around. It was awesome every day. And it was awesome in another way. Once practice was over, there was no jealousy or animosity. Everybody got along well.
Did you ever look back and use that as inspiration? Just that little craziness of the egos of everybody playing on the same. Or were you past that?
I just wanted to win the championship.
Yes.
You know, because like I say, whether we can debate whether it's right or wrong or not, that's just the stigma you have to live with when you don't win the championship.
You talking to somebody?
Yeah. I mean, but and there's levels to this thing. Like, you know, there's a bunch of us guys in the Hall of Fame who didn't want to win the championship,
right.
But those guys are on a separate level. Like I say, I'm not sure how it became a individual thing, but that's just the way it is. Like, I would love to play with Kareem and James Worthy.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to play with Scotty and Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman.
Teams win championship.
Teams win championship, but somewhere along the way, we start singling out guys. And now, you know, like today is James Harden today, Russ Westbrook today, Paul George today. So we start, like, somewhere along the way, we don't celebrate how great you are at basketball. We're like, well, you're great, you're great, but you know what? And I says, hey, that's just the way it is.
When you were in Philly, what was it like playing with Julius Erving?
You know, Doc was traumatic for me because when you finally start watching basketball, he's on that Mount Rushmore of, like, the doctor. And so the first time I met him, it was traumatizing because I didn't know what to call him. You know, I was like, I remember calling all my friends, like, what should I call Dr. J? Should I call him Dr. J, Doctor, Mr. Irving, Julius? And they're like, oh, good question. We don't know. And Doc walked up to me and said, hey, I'm Doc. And it was the coolest thing. Cause I was like, yeah, I know who you are, but thanks for doing that. But he treated me great. being around all those old guys, they taught me how to save my money. The best thing they did, they taught me how to dress. Because Doc always dressed immaculate.
Still does.
Still does. But I was so blessed to have him and Moses and those guys, man. They were fantastic to me.
Do you remember the time that you guys were playing against the Bulls in Chicago? You had a great game. Great game. And you and I went on afterwards, and you told me that God spoke to you the night before and told you guys are going to win. Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do remember it very well. So they won the first two. We won game 3 in Chicago. They won game 4, and we won game 5. Mm-hmm. 2 things happened to me that day. My agent, which I don't allow anybody to call me on a game day. Once I get back from shoot around, let's just get mentally prepared. My agent calls me and says, "Hey man, I don't want to bother you on a game day." I said, "What's going on?" He says, "The guy who does it, we going to Disneyland, wants you to set a line." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, they want to take a player from the losing team, try something new."
No, he didn't.
I says, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, they normally obviously take a player from the winning team, but they want." I said, "You tell that to kiss my ass, please. Tell him to kiss my ass." So I'm in a bad mood now.
Yes, gone.
Then I turn on the TV. Every reporter, "Guys, we need y'all to have some class and dignity. We don't want any looting and rioting." And they show the whole city boarded up. And you talk about, I'm like.
And they haven't even played the game.
We didn't even play the game. They're talking about last time we won a championship, there was a lot of rioting and everything. And the whole city is boarded up. And I remember telling the guys, "Hey, we might not win this series, but we damn sure ain't losing tonight."
You saw The Last Dance.
Yes.
What'd you think about that?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was Michael.
You know Michael like I know Michael.
Yes.
It was a statement that he made and left it alone. You notice he don't say anything about it. He don't come back and say anything about it. It's like, that's it. You can say whatever you want, do whatever you want.
Well, I think that's the one negative thing about the press today. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you say. They're going to tell you what you meant to say. Right. You know, it's like, well, he said that, but that's not what he meant. So I like that Michael handled it like, "Hey, this is it. Y'all do what you want to with it." It reminded me what a great player he was. Because, no disrespect to all these other guys, there's no player been beat up that much who kept coming. They don't. And listen, that's no disrespect to Kobe, who's great. There's no disrespect to LeBron. They both all-time greats. But it reminded me what he went through to knock that door down. You know, because listen, when you played against those Pistons, it was for real. But for him to do that every year and finally get through it, it shows me a mental fortitude that's like, you can't make that up. When Michael lost to Orlando, mm-hmm. and even when he lost to the Pistons, he always shook their hand. And I was thinking, like, the Pistons, when they lost, the one time they lost, they walked off the court. And even when the Orlando Magic was carrying Horace Grant around and everything, Michael stayed and shook their hand. And if we know Michael like Michael, like that's not in his DNA.
That wasn't easy for him to do.
He ain't built like that.
No. There were so many great players in that era.
Yeah.
There were so many great teams in that era. Yeah. It wasn't like the Bulls ran roughshod over everybody else.
He went 7 games with the Pacers, the Knicks. He won at least 6 with the Jazz a couple times. I says, dude, they had to hit a 3 or we would have won 7 games. I says, we all got our shot. Yeah, he did beat everybody, but you guys act like he beat everybody 4-zip.
There was nobody swept through them finals. Those games were some of the greatest athletic competitions that I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Just so happened he won a bunch of them, but they were never given to him.
Well, first of all, he took them.
Yes.
He took them, and I just tell guys, says, yo, man, these were some great series. They were competitive. I says, he didn't. He was the best of our generation, but like we got our shot, and we gave him all we had. He was just better than we were. There's no shame in that. I mean, and the thing that I'm probably like, yeah, we never said, hey, me and Patrick and guys, let's get together and try to stop this dude. That's the one thing that annoys me. Like, wait a minute, we got to team up and beat this guy. Like, no, I want that mofo myself. You know, I says, you know, because I remember vividly, I was like, I got what I want. I got help. I got my shot at Michael. And me and Karl Malone had this conversation. Hey, I had 2 shots at Michael. I had 1 shot at him. Patrick had a bunch of shots at him. That's all you can ask for, man. When we won in Phoenix to get to the finals, and they said, well, who you want to play? I said, I want to play the Chicago Bulls, fool. I says, if we don't beat the Bulls, it's irrelevant.
It has been a wonderful pleasure to sit and just talk to you about your career and all you've meant to the many fans and just the greatness. To be all of a sudden, here's a guy that couldn't play worth a darn at 5'10", and got to be 6'4.5", and one of the greatest players to ever play in the history of the NBA.
Man, I am so lucky and blessed, and I'm not trying to be humble, whatever. You know, growing up in a small town in Alabama and seeing where I am today, I'm like, wow. You know, like, there's always a bunch of stuff going on, but every now and then, probably once a year, I sit around and say, man, what a good run. I mean, it's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing life.